You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK.
In the new year, it's time to make a new choice and check in with some of our old patterns. I am joined today by our girl guide in the Joy Corner, Heather Boschke. Heather, Happy New Year 2026.
Happy New Year!
Okay, New Year, like I said, is always a great time to check in with our old patterns. And sometimes those patterns are not necessarily serving us all that well. Why do we often carry last year's unhappiness into the new year, even if we want things to change?
Yes. Okay. So we carry old unhappiness into our next year with us because unhappiness is actually more than just a feeling. It is a pattern. And over time, our brains and our bodies get conditioned to certain emotional states like stress or resentment or overgiving or disappointment. And they can become familiar stories to us. Even when we don't love it, even when it's uncomfortable, it's still predictable. And predictability signals to our bodies that we are safe. And there's also unfinished emotional business. When we don't process the grief, the anger, the resentment, the disappointment from the year before, it doesn't just disappear because the calendar changes. It goes underground. And what we don't acknowledge tends to follow us, and it will absolutely resurface at some point. Another reason is identity. Letting go of unhappiness can feel like letting go of who we've been, and that creates resistance, even if we want relief from that story. So we have to ask ourselves, are we happy being unhappy? Do we cling to suffering because that is part of how we see ourselves? And finally, change requires energy. When we're emotionally drained, it's easier to stay in what is familiar, which could be unhappiness, unless we risk disappointing by hoping for something better. So a new year doesn't automatically bring a clean slate. Real change begins when we slow down enough so that we can notice those patterns that we're carrying. And then we can ask ourselves, do we want to keep those patterns or do we want to get rid of them?
Okay, yeah, again, when you talk about patterns or behaviors or, clinging to safety, a lot of times we're not aware of the fact that they aren't leading us towards our joy. How do we identify this?
Yeah. So first we have to start by noticing our emotional loops, like what keeps playing over and over again. So pay attention when you feel disengaged or restless or empty or unfulfilled, maybe sad, and ask yourself, when do I feel this way? Is it around the same month every year? Is it when you're with the same type of people? Is it the same type of relationship? Is it with certain work people or places? When you're saying yes when you mean to say no, like those are the patterns that you can find when you're constantly feeling the same way. The other thing you can do is watch your almost moments. And these are situations when you get close to what you want. You get close to happiness, you get close to joy, to ease, to change, and then something happens. You overthink, you delay, you sabotage, you find a reason it's not the right time. That moment of pullback is often where that pattern lives. And the behavior of pulling back might feel logical, but the timing of it is very telling, and that is your pattern. Another really tactical tool is to track your default response under stress. So when things feel uncertain, do you overfunction? Do you withdraw? Do you try to control? Do you numb? Do you self-blame? These aren't random habits. They are your strategies that you've learned how to cope. If the same response keeps showing up across different situations, you're not reacting to the moment, you're actually just replaying a pattern. And lastly, pay attention to your language. When you say things like, I don't have a choice, that's just how it is, it's not worth the effort, I'll deal with it later, those are all permission slips for you to stay in familiar discomfort.
All right, what does it look like if we take a chance on joy?
Okay, as we move into this new year, it is the year of the horse. In the Chinese zodiac, the year of the horse represents movement, freedom, vitality, and forward momentum. The horse is associated with independence and inner drive. It's about trusting our instincts, choosing direction, and having the courage to move forward even when the path isn't fully mapped out. Horse energy is about action aligned with truth. And horses don't move through life by overthinking every step. They move through trust, instinct, and forward momentum. And so taking a chance on joy this year might look less like pushing harder and more like loosening the reins, because horses respond to tension. The tighter we grip, the more they resist. Joy works the same way. When we try to control outcomes or protect ourselves from disappointment, we actually slow down our momentum. The year of the horse invites us to stop standing still out of fear and start moving forward with intention. So taking a chance on joy this year might mean asking, where am I gripping too tightly? And what would happen if I trusted myself enough to move forward anyway? Because once a horse starts moving, it remembers its strength, and so do we.
Okay, so if somebody is listening to our conversation and is recognizing some of these patterns that are holding us back, can we give them some tips to loosen up the reins and move forward in the new year?
Yes. So joy often arrives through getting rid of stuff, actually. So instead of asking what to add this year, ask yourself, what am I tolerating that quietly is draining me? Maybe reduce an obligation, something that's on your calendar every month. Maybe it's a relationship dynamic that you're ready to let go of, or some type of self-imposed rule so you can create space for more joy instead of adding something new. Maybe set fewer goals and more boundaries, because joy grows when your energy stops leaking. We have got to protect our time, our attention, and our emotions, because that is what's going to give us structural support for our joy. And lastly, I would say practice moving toward what makes you feel alive. If something brings curiosity, excitement, positive energy, or a sense of flow, follow it, because that is alignment. And ask yourself, if no one was watching, what would I choose? That is acting from alignment. Because in this new year, the year of the horse, it invites us to stop standing still in the familiar and start moving towards what feels true. And so if being stuck in the same patterns and in unhappiness no longer feels true, it is time to choose differently.
Giddy up. Thanks, honey. Appreciate this conversation.
Good to see you.
If you are recognizing some of your old habits, old patterns, get on that horse, loosen up the reins, and ride with the wind. We'll be right back after this. You're watching Arkansas Style.